Welcome to True Health Tuesday, and the truth will set you free. Today, we're going to be talking about optimal health and healing with autism. Now, again, inspired by a recent comment from Jenny Nelson, 2337. I was wondering if you could do a video on autism. I have 2 sons with mild autism and have noticed some big good changes since we've committed to eating organic, cutting out a lot of things, including all pharmaceutical crap, dyes, high fructose corn syrup, artificial stuff like candy, pop, and we have started homeschooling. God bless you. But we would like to know what else we can do to help them even more. They're both picky eaters, and I'll show you why. But they're still trying to get them to be as healthy as possible. Herbal medicine ideas. We use herbal meds, homemade and online, just looking for more ideas. Thanks. Glad I found your videos and learned the truth, exposing the lies I've been taught in the medical field at society years ago. Jenny, God bless you. Thanks for taking care of the kids. Let's get into this. Now, there's a few things because of the lack of freedom of speech in our country and on social media that we cannot discuss. Number one, we cannot go over the true causes of why this epidemic is occurring of autism. We can't talk about the controversy about wacky scenes. Can't even say it. Controversies involving Big Pharma or the government. For all of these topics, I can speak freely on our drbvip.com site. And that is the only place that we still have free speech left. Now, biggest thing with autism is damage to the brain, damage to the gut. But there's had to be some type of stressor. Now, this is affecting the nervous system, digestive system, endocrine system, immune system. So all of these systems are affected, and there is from stress. Now, there's 3 stressors that these kids have gone through: physical stress, chemical stress, and emotional stress. All 3 are there. And when we're talking direct damage to the gut, direct damage to the brain. Now, things that are going to prevent your body from functioning optimally. Or we could word this backwards and say things that can cause damage to the brain and gut. Number 1, chemicals. If you know that the Food and Drug Administration was originally the chemistry board, has the liaison between the chemistry industry and the public, we can understand that ingestibles, that means chemicals you're eating, and injectables, chemicals that have been injected into your body. That's a factor. Environmental toxins, non-organic or genetically modified organisms as food, nutritional deficiencies, absolutely, chronic stress. Now, number 1 thing for all of these kids, avoid processed foods. When they remove the metabolic and digestive enzymes, it's hard for a person to break this stuff down. But also, there's actually toxins in the food. And so no genetically modified organisms. Avoid grains for now. Okay, eventually they can eat some organic grains, but right now, gluten-free, dairy-free. No artificial or processed sugars. No pasteurized and homogenized dairy. That is dangerous for these kids. No unhealthy processed packaged meats. And I mean meats with antibiotics, hormones, those concentrated feeding lot animals that are produced that way. The oils are deadly to these kids' brains. And we're going to look at the gut brain. But corn oil, canola oil, soy oils, these things are toxic to the system, particularly if they're non-organic. Now, this is what we see in our office. When you're looking at this is looking at the gut area of the kids. And these giant black areas are not usual. Okay, that means they are unusual. And I mean, look at this. 10-year-old, and you're going to see allergies, behavior, you're going to see brain issues all associated with the gut. It's called the gut-brain connection. So when you get a 10-year-old with digestive disorders, or an 8-year-old with ulcerative colitis, a 5-year-old with ulcerative colitis, this is insane. This can't really be happening with this type of species. 9-year-old, look at his gut. It's horrible. Now, these are twin girls that actually did have a diagnosis of autism. And it took them 9 years to get, let me see, I'm treading on thin ice here where I can't really say a lot of stuff, but it took them 9 years to prove that their autism was caused by an injectable in court. And you can see the horrible destroyed gut in these kids. I mean, I tell parents it looks like they were shot in this tummy with a shotgun. The reason the gut is so interconnected to the brain, it's called the enteric nervous system. Now, or the gut brain, or the second brain. Now, the gut has more than 100 million neurons. Now, this is more than the peripheral and central nervous system. Now, when we look at this, the second brain functions independently of the brain. Now, you've got this nerve called the vagus nerve, exits the brainstem, and it goes down and does all of the motility, the excretions, everything, chemical production, all the things of the gastrointestinal tract. Now, that's only 10% of its function. 90% of that vagus nerve is sensory. Think of that. 10% does all the work, but 90% of that vagus nerve is sensory, or sending information back up to the brain. So anything that you do that can positively or negatively affect the gut, and we know we're looking at ingestibles and injectables, this is going to massively affect the brain. And not just in autistic kids, but when you're looking at Alzheimer's, dementia, brain damage, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, we're looking at all these brain issues. You've got to look at the gut function as primary. And then you've got neurotransmitters produced in the gut. This is how the brain communicates. Out of the Annals of Gastroenterology, 2015, the gut-brain axis interactions between the enteric microbiota and central and enteric nervous systems. Now, the gut-brain axis is a bidirectional communication between the central and enteric nervous system, linking emotional, cognitive centers of the brain with the peripheral intestinal functions. So this means anything that damages that gut, that means any pesticides, herbicides, anything that antibiotics, any type of medication, it could damage the brain. The gut microbiota to brain and from brain to gut microbiota by means of neural, endocrine, immune, and humoral links. Evidence that the microbiota, GBA interactions, come from the association of dysbiosis with central nervous system disorders. Example, autism and anxiety and depressive disorders, and functional gastrointestinal disorders. You cannot separate the gut-brain. Now, so we've got to heal the gut. Now, a lot of times these kids have well, not a lot of time, 100% of the time, these kids have extreme sensitivities to certain foods. So a colonic is fantastic, but when you get the small kids, it's going to be uncomfortable and can be emotionally distressful for kids with this. So if they are too young to do a colonic, do moist heat on their tummy. Now, this is going to help rush blood to that gut. And now kids have a smaller surface area than adults. So what you may consider warm, they may consider hot. So make a game out of it. And moist heat is what penetrates. So if you have a hot water bottle, wrap it in a wet towel. But putting moist heat on their tummy before and after their eat is going to be the primary for the extreme cases. Then if you can do colonics, again, we've got to heal that gut. So a juice fast a week before is going to be fantastic if they're available. Okay, if they're open to it. I know these kids get very, very sensitive and picky appetites. Now, it's ideal if you do 3 colonics in a row, separated by 1 day, or that would be good. So you get juice fast through 3 days before. Then you get a colonic on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday. Now, the frequency really depends on your toxicity. Now, a lot of, and I'm talking teenagers, 20s and 30s-year-old people who have horrible gut brains, then we may do a colonic a week for 1 or 2 months. Okay. Or a colonic in 1 week, and then they don't require it. So we utilize live blood cell analysis to gauge the effectiveness and the health of the blood to see if the gut is getting healthy. Then also you look at stool production. Are they producing, 2 to 3 healthy bowel movements a day? What does the stool smell like? Does it smell chemical and toxic? And it's extremely common. Also, EDTA chelation. Now, this is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. EDTA is a heck of a lot easier to pronounce. Now, it was developed by the Germans to get rid of heavy metal toxicity out of their factory workers and soldiers. And now we use it at our clinic in Mexico, and it's used around the world. A lot of times it takes around a 4-hour drip. Now, you got to use, I totally recommend using an objective analysis to see how many chelations you have to use. Because if you do a live blood cell analysis, do the EDTA chelation to get some of the heavy metals out from the injectables and ingestibles, and then you got to put the minerals back in. Typically, we use a Myers cocktail, but you've got to wait about an hour because that EDTA chelation is going to be binding and flushing out the system. Now, it might take 1 or 2 chelations, may take 9 or 10 chelations, because some of these kids have been extremely damaged. Now, oral chelation, and this is something that you have to do every day. Remember, let food be your medicine. Now, before beginning the EDTA chelation, colon cleanse, liver cleanse is ideal, but you have to get, if you're doing a liver cleanse, and they have only 1 bowel movement every other day or every 3rd day, it's not going to work. You're going to be reabsorbing those toxins. So the diet's got to be high in hormone-free proteins. So vegetables and healthy animals. Is because the sulfur-bearing amino acids present in the proteins literally is going to help detox that process. And then take a quality organic mineral supplement. When these kids are stressed, you need stomach acid in order to absorb the minerals. So it's ideal that you get them a plant-based mineral supplement. Sea plants are the best ones. And you've got to get them up to 2 to 3 healthy bowel movements a day. And that's the moist heat on the tummy will help. The healthy diet will help, and eliminate the toxins is going to help to get them up to that regular bowel function. Now, if they're extremely constipated, you can do tummy massage or intestinal massage, and also have them take a little bit of fiber with their food with each meal, and that'll increase the healthy stool production. You got that gut brain, man. Intestinal tract is directly connected to the brain. Now, and you can also use spirulina, okay, in intravenous cocktails, okay, if you can get an IV. And sometimes you're not going to be able to do that. So spirulina is amazing. You can do it in pill form. You could add it to their smoothies. It comes in powders. Chlorella is amazing at detoxing the system. If you can get the IVs, look at cocktails of high-dose vitamin C, magnesium chloride, sulfite, sodium bicarbonate, okay, is fantastic. But I'm telling you that spirulina and chlorella is amazing. And generally kids tolerate it really well, but you can mix it with certain things. And this is something, if they could do it daily. Also, now mixing up it tastes actually kind of good. When you're doing the clay, okay, and this is interesting because it's just literally diatomaceous earth. It's clay, and then you can put a little 1/4 cup of cacao, a couple of drops of peppermint oil, and you mix it up so it's like frosting. And they can take a little bit of this, and this is going to also help detox the system. It's absolutely fantastic. The GAPS diet is excellent, but you're looking at healthy fats. With healthy fats, they can you produce healthy hormones. So coconut oil and organic ghee is fantastic. Have them eat fruit in between meals, and this will give them energy, not with meals. Bone broth, fantastic, as it gives the healthy fats and healthy minerals out of this. But the bone broth, if you're making it at home, make sure it's from healthy animals. And then we got to slowly reintroduce healthy bacteria in their intestinal tract. And a lot of times these kids do not like that weird fermented flavor. So look at coconut culture, which is fantastic. It's yogurt and ice cream made with living bacteria. Also look at kombucha, nattokinase, cultured vegetables. There's a lot of ways that you can sneak it in there. You can even open up probiotics and prebiotic capsules and sprinkle it on whatever you're feeding them. And then look at raw dairy is amazing. And it could be just fermented for 24 hours or longer. Look at fermented vegetable juice. You can add it with each meal. Like sauerkraut juice is amazing. And get healthy fats. And this is the key, because you need fat for hormone production. And then you've got to rebuild that gut flora. So the initial moist heat is going to help. Then secondarily, start juicing and blending and getting the nutrients that are pre-digested in there. Eliminate the toxic foods, but look at organic, healthy diet with or lots of organic vegetables. Healthy fats is going to be the key. Fermented veggies, probiotic supplements, juice, vegetables, blended fruits, raw dairy, and literally it reduce the commercially produced or high omega-6 animal products and get a good, healthy animal-based omega-3s, such as mackerel, sardines, anchovies. And building up that gut flora is the key. It's just, do sauerkraut juice, try and add it in with some other foods. If you were lucky enough to have them like this, fantastic. But also look at miso and kimchi, pickles. They may like just to keep experimenting around. So you get the healthy foods in it. Now, this is perfect example of before and after. The abnormal before, you're going to see these giant black areas. And that's abnormal bowel gas or increased intestinal permeability. You can call it a leaky gut, whatever you want. But when you see those massive black areas of abnormal bowel gas, that means that this person is in significant stress. And when you see this, you're looking at anxiety, stress, impulse control. Now, the picture on the left was about 90 days later, and we're starting to see a normal half moon Magenblas or gas bubble in the stomach on the top right up there. And it happens quickly. You're talking 30 to 90 days. So guts heal. Just for an example, we got an abnormal gut on the left. We've got a normal gut on the right. And just when you're looking at this and you see these kids that have such damage and it's virtually ignored by doctors, because a lot of the kids that they're, giving chemicals to are going to end up like this. We go 1 in 10,000 to now 1 in 36, or if you're isolating and dividing it up into boys and girls, 1 in the 20s. It's a criminal action. So nutritional imbalances and deficiencies. That bottom line, omega-3s, vitamin B12. The B vitamins are produced in the intestinal tract. These kids are severely limited in their ability to produce B vitamins. Vitamin D, that means direct sunlight exposure or healthy fatty foods like mackerel and eggs and cheese. Vitamin C, magnesium, and selenium. You need minerals in order to use vitamins. And probiotics, again, the single most important nutrient for brain is the omega-3s. And you're looking at low brain levels in all types, or low brain levels of omega-3s in all types of brain issues. And I'm talking depression, memory loss, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's, autism, and literally sardines, mackerel, anchovies. Small fish. It's amazing. If you can get it in the whole fish, fantastic. If not, get it in pill form. Then healthy fats, omega-3s, palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. You've got to get the fats in the system so that they can start to produce the healthy hormones. Magnesium. You're looking at 80% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, but there's over 300 different enzymes in your body that utilize magnesium. It plays a vital role. Without minerals, you can't utilize vitamins. Magnesium is one of the most important ones. And so when you're in a stressed state, you produce less stomach acid, so you can't absorb the minerals. Just look at this. I mean, let food be your medicine. Bananas, high in magnesium. When you're looking at dark chocolate, avocados, spinach, there's a lot of ways that you can do this, but you need magnesium to activate muscles and the central nervous system. It creates energy. It's the building block for RNA and DNA synthesis, so these kids can start to rebuild their body. And it's the precursor to neurotransmitters. Let food be your medicine, man. Get them on this. And when you look at magnesium deficiency, chronic fatigue, weakness, fibromyalgia, insomnia, neurologic disorders, it's if you get the right nutrients, and there's an old Ayurvedic saying, when diet is poor, medicine is of no good. When diet is good, medicine is of no need. I mean, brilliant. Again, just check it out. Dark green leafy vegetables, nuts, seeds, mackerel, again, beans and lentils, whole grains, avocados. And if you're looking about the lectins, just cook the beans really, really well, and you get the healthy fibers in there. Dried fruits, and make sure they don't have a lot of sulfur in them. But figs, prunes, dates, the sun-dried fruits are the best, and cacao. Now, thyroid, just like you have an automatic nervous system, sympathetic, which is fight or flight, parasympathetic, which is regeneration. You've got the same balance going with adrenals and thyroid. In a stress state, the adrenals are firing off, the thyroid's suppressed. And so in a chronic state of stress, and these kids are under a chronic state of stress, we've got to get the thyroid activated. Now, when you're looking at, it's, again, epidemic nowadays, 20 million Americans have a low functioning thyroid. The thyroid maintains constant communication between the brain, glands, hormones, then receiving these cells and tissues. And thyroid is at the mercy of cortisol. Cortisol is produced by the adrenal glands, and not only is it a great anti-inflammatory, but it's a stress hormone. It affects so many different systems of the body. But if cortisol levels are elevated because of stress, the thyroid's going to be suppressed. Iodine is essential for thyroid function. Now, when you're looking at the functions of iodine, stabilizes metabolism, body weight, brain development, fertility. It optimizes your immune system. Potent antibacterial, antiparasitic, antiviral, anti-cancer. I mean, it's incredible. I encourage you to look at Dr. Brownstein's work, because iodine, as well as most other supplements, are being very vilified by the standard media. But look at Dr. Brownstein's work. Iodine is one of the things I do every day. And then vitamin D, incredibly good for you. If you get access to the sun between 11 and 1 o'clock, 20 minutes to a half hour, so get these kids to get their shirts off, have them run around outside. It's going to be the greatest thing in the world. But this is ideal for nerve production and your body's response to environmental pathogens. People can call that the immune system. It elevates concentrations of serotonin, a calming neurotransmitter, some people say. When you're looking at vitamin D deficiency, and if you can't get out in the sun, get light, get a UV light, ultraviolet infrared lights. I love the Juve light. Digestive disorders, skeletal disorders linked to vitamin D deficiency, depression, mental disorders, seasonal affective disorder, SAD, brain dysfunction, dementia, Alzheimer's, all types of cancer, autoimmune diseases. Now, let's look at antioxidants. Again, these kids got inflammation of the brain, which is literally damage to the brain. They've got inflammation of the gut. Okay, so they have inflammation everywhere, and inflammation creates free radicals during that healing process. Inflammation is a healing process, but inflammation, it has to occur from tissue damage. So the antioxidants in berries are amazing. They deactivate the free radicals, allowing the inflammatory process to regenerate the tissue. Every type of berry out there, but again, organic is going to be essential. Frozen organic is going to be an option. Wild blueberries, dark chocolate, artichokes, elderberries, kidney beans, and then glutathione. Oh my God, the master antioxidant. This is one of the greatest things ever. So where do you get it? Raw dairy, all the cruciferous families, garlic, onions, broccoli, kale, collard greens, cauliflower, and make sure that when you're doing the cruciferous vegetables, lightly saute them, cook them. Try not to get them raw because that can irritate the kids' guts. And then chiropractic care. This is essential for brain stimulation. The central nervous system facilitation is an increase in afferent signal to the brain and spinal cord. This can follow spinal injury. This signal amplification is sent via articulating mechanoreceptors within the spine. What this means is if you have an alteration in the communication of the body to the brain, you're going to throw that brain into a stress state. If you can clear that connection through chiropractic, then beautiful. Then you have a better afferent or sensory input into the brain, and then you're going to have a better control, that brain control of the body. It just makes sense. You're putting healthy information in. This is a perfect example. We've got a normal curve on the left, and this is typical. C-section birth. Why is that important? C-sections put 4 times the amount of pressure on a kid's neck. Ear infections. Why is that a critical factor in kids? Because ear infections, 97% of the time, aren't infections. They're ear effusions. So if you swallow like that, you can hear a crackling in your ears. That is, you're flexing the soft palate and you're opening up the eustachian tube that drains that middle ear. Well, if you have a cervical dysfunction, that soft palate isn't going to work, and the eustachian tube won't be able to drain, so it fills up with fluid, and a well-meaning but ignorant doctor is going to look in there and see the red bulging eardrum and say, well, must be infected. And if they give antibiotics, what does that do to the gut? It destroys the gut flora. And you're looking at a significant physical stressor on this kid's neck. So C-section birth, damaging the neck, multiple infections, fully injected for a year, behavior issues, skin issues, allergy issues. Obviously, you got to look at the physical. And again, this is super common. When you're looking at a 5-year-old with ulcerative colitis, that has never happened before. This is a unique phenomenon over the last 10 years. Of course, USA hospital birth, Pitocin and an epidural. Pitocin initiates the uterine contractions and can damage the kid and damage the mom. Mom got an injection while gestation, while the kid was inside of her, injected at 12 hours, because that's the protocol for American kids. Ear infections, antibiotics, formula fed, and fully compliant with the injections. Obviously, there's so much trauma, chemical trauma to this kid. You can see his gut is destroyed, and you can't treat it like it's some defect of the intestinal tract. This kid is poisoned. Here's another one, 9-year-old, ulcerative colitis, and you're going to see similar things: hospital birth, Pitocin, epidural. They stopped the injections at 2 because they noticed a negative effect of them. But look at his gut, the poor kid. So when we go through this, and luckily both those kids, they recovered, by doing the same thing, you put moist heat on there, you get them adjusted, you get them, clear that nervous system interference. This is why when we talk the 5 keys to health, number 1, proper nerve supply. This means getting those kids, getting their pelvis adjusted, their cervical spine, their skull, doing the soft tissue work on their tummy, but you've got to get their nervous system clear of interference. Regular exercise. This is why they do that self-stimming behavior, because that is a calming effect. Get these kids to run around and do cross crawl exercises. Proper nutrition. We've got to heal the gut. So moist heat from the outside and detoxing from the inside, and rebuilding that gut flora. Sufficient rest. Make sure these kids' sleep environments are completely dark. Put a white noise application in there set at 528 hertz. Have the kids sleep on a grounding surface or a grounding mat or grounding sheet. And that is going to be essential. And then prayer and meditation. When these kids generally, if you can get them to pray, fantastic. But your prayers and your intentions in relationship or directing it towards that child will help. It's going to help give you the strength, and prayer works. It's a great source of energy. So nerve supply, exercise, nutrition, rest, and prayer and meditation. Now, I encourage you to put all your questions and comments. And obviously, there's an extremely, I was going to say controversial subject, but it's not controversial if you've gone through it. But it's very sensitive to social media. So we do have to divide the answers into what I think will get by. And I'm hoping this video gets by. I just had 3 more wiped out this week. And then we'll go through and answer them all, as many as we can. God bless you all. Stay healthy, my friends.